Alright, YouTubers, we are back for the year 2018 with our first carving. Sorry I was away for a while, but we're doing an old 90s video game character named Boogerman. Remember from my childhood, just felt like doing something fun, and I don't think I've really done anything like an animated character before. I've always tried to do real characters from like live action movies or shows, so this ought to be fun, taking a little two-dimensional character from a video game and making him three-dimensional. But we've already got the rough form carved out. What we're going to try and do is, because he has a very pronounced profile. Let's see, where's my template? Here we go. Here's our template. So he's got a very pronounced profile as far as nose and his face. So we got some carving to do to get down to that kind of profile there. I mean, it'd be neat if I could just wrap it around like that, but as you can see, when you do something like that, it just changes everything. So the way we get around that is, I've already gone around with the knife and outlined the jaw area, and pretty much all we can do from there is just go in at an angle from the side and build up that profile, so that we can start refining it later. And where I've already gone around it is our stop cut, so you just go up against it and the pieces just come away. Oh, cool fact, not like nobody already knows it or not, but my team, my favorite NFL team, the Eagles, won the Super Bowl, beat those damn Patriots. That was awesome. And it was crazy how last year the Falcons played, and that's my best friend's favorite team, and they just blew it. And then this year, my favorite team happens to play, and they actually won. It was amazing. So, just thought I'd share that. That was just awesome. Not the most fun game to watch, though. I mean, it was literally just an offensive game, and finally, Eagles defense stepped up in the end, caused the fumble that really sealed the game. But that Falcons game the year previous is much better for the back and forth. I think that's what people like to see more in sports games, is a nail biter. It was kind of funny though, that little trick play. Tom Brady went for it and fumbled the ball and dropped it. And then the Eagles, I think it was the very next possession, went forward in the red zone and completed it. I'm not getting distracted here. I'm outlining the arms so we don't lose those, because we might have to go further back to get this profile the way you need it. And if this card everything goes well, I plan on doing at least one more just kind of silly character, and then I'll get back to doing some of the more detailed, cooler ones from like movies and stuff. I have one planned for next month sometime that should be actually pretty difficult. Not going to give anything away, but there's 2 faces I have to do, so that ought to be challenging. I'd like to thank the couple new subscribers I got. It's always nice to see.
Using this, I'm going to go back to the 60s and steer Austin Powers.
Yeah, I thought about, after doing this particular pose, where he's just standing there like that, it might be funny if later in the future I do some of his other poses. Anybody's not familiar with the old Sega game, he's kind of a disgusting character, superhero. He flicks boogers, hence the name Boogerman. He burps and farts. I mean, he even has like not a fart rocket, but he can fly by farting. Typical stuff that young kids think's just hilarious. But I thought it'd be funny to later on do other ones, all the different poses. So you have this pose, you have him standing out here with this big gut sticking out where he's getting ready to burp. You have another one where he's squatting down, getting ready to fart. And then the final one just flicking a booger. I think they had a Kickstarter for a couple years back or something, where they were trying to remake this particular game so they could actually add in a lot of the stuff they wanted to back then, but they just couldn't. And I don't know what happened to it. I'm not big into video games, so I don't keep track of a lot of that stuff, but I did just remember this particular instance because I remember this game so well as a kid. It was kind of like Earthworm Jim. I think a lot of people would probably know that more than they would this. But the levels and stuff you play, and the way it played and stuff like that, and the grossness and stuff like that, very similar. I also wanted to do him because he has brighter colors. I wanted to do some more vibrant stuff. Seemed like quite a few of the carvings I did, excluding the Tim Curry Pennywise we did back in Halloween, just most of my carvings just don't have a whole lot of bright, vibrant colors. I regret now not videoing doing my last carving, Whack, the alien from the old 80s Explorers movie. That one was a really fun carve to do, and the paint job is real cool. And he's just real bright and vibrant like I wanted. Oh, I'm trying to fight off a sneeze. Goodness. But hopefully, I don't know if you can tell, we are getting some depth here with the whole face profile. We got a good ways to go, so what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to not bifurcate, but just about. We're going to have to cut off his arms here. And see, that's why I use such a thick piece of wood, is because you don't want to have not enough wood to do your face. Anytime you have a profile where the nose is sticking out a lot, face is sticking, in this case, his jaw, he has a big chin and all that, it sticks out quite a bit. So as you can tell, if we hold it up like this, I mean, we're going to have to go back to about here, removing the arms so we can get that profile right. So the way we do that is you want to mark. Here goes that dumb thing I do using a freaking pen. I don't know why I always do this. It's like I have pencils, but I never have them laying around when I'm doing a carving. I have a big project planned for this year for a wood carving. It'll be unlike these small miniatures I do here. What it's going to be is I'm going to replicate Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night painting, because that is my absolute favorite painting of all time. I'm a big Van Gogh fan, but there's just something about that one. I've replicated it in different mediums ever since I was in about, I want to say, 6th grade. My art teacher was amazing in middle school, making art interesting and having lots of fun projects. And I've got a big plank of basswood I plan on using for that one. And we're going to do it like it's a portrait, like you oil paints and all that, but we're going to carve all the detail in, and then we paint it later, which should be very difficult. That's what I have planned for much later this year, until I can get my head around how I'm going to accomplish it. Because anybody, I don't know how many of y'all watching this has ever tried to replicate that painting. The proper brush strokes and stuff to get the swirls and everything right is a real bear, man. Alright, and what we're doing here is we're just doing a plunge cut. Here's his body here. We're doing a plunge cut right along the body, and there's the hands, so that way the hands are separate. And then this line here, we're going to do the same thing. We do a plunge cut, and then eventually we can pop the arms off. So let's give it a try. Alright, we got to be careful right here. Here's where the jaw comes around. Need to remove some of this. Yeah. I'm going to come across like this first, and then we can just carefully take the rest off. Anytime you're splitting the wood like this, you have to be real careful. A, so you don't damage your wood, and B, you don't stick yourself or cut yourself. And you notice when I did these lines, I didn't use a ruler or nothing, so they're not exactly straight. That's not very important at this moment. We're just trying to remove some wood so that we can be able to access the face the way we need to. And if you look here, we're almost against the line there where we need to be. So yeah, anybody who sees this, if you get a little extra time on your hands, it's go ahead and YouTube Boogerman Sega Genesis. I think they ported it over to the Nintendo way back when too. I don't remember. I was more of a Sega kid than I was a Nintendo kid, so don't exactly remember. But it'll give you a good chuckle or something if you're feeling nostalgic. I mean, how they get away with it is much of a prude everybody was back then about what you could show. Like, I remember Mortal Kombat. That was one of the big deals when I was a kid. And the Sega had blood when you hit people. And parents were just in an uproar over it. So how they get by with making a guy who burps and farts and flicks boogers and he's a superhero, I will never know. Yeah, if you notice when I'm doing the plunge cut, I'm giving a rocking motion as I'm plunging it. That way the knife is doing all the work and cutting, and you're not crushing the wood. You don't want to just jab it in there and crush the wood. You want to go in at an angle. So like here's a push cut. See how that goes in like that? So that's how you're going into the wood. And then you get to a certain depth, you want to give it a rock. So you push it in, and then you rock it like that. And see how the blade starts coming embedded? That's what we're doing inside. And then eventually we should be able to separate it. Fun fact, like all superheroes, Boogerman here has a secret identity, and I believe, I haven't looked it up, I'm just going off of my memory, I believe his secret identity is Snotty Ragsdale. He's a janitor. It's kind of a unfortunate name, isn't it? But once again, pretty funny, gross out humor for kids. What is holding us up here? We should have it free by now. I don't know how the weather's like for everybody else, but we get dumped on with, I believe they said it was the most rain since '97. Maybe that's where my mind got on old snotty rags over here. They were bringing up the 90s, and maybe I was just reminiscing. But yeah, everything was flooded in our downtown area. I think they waited a little too long to put the little floodgates up. Not like it was severe flooding or nothing like that. Most of the businesses down by the river flood all the time. We're here in Louisville, Kentucky. There's a cool little like sports bar type thing, bar and grill, down by our 2nd Street bridge called the Troll Pub. I did actual little wood carving called Louis the Troll from the Troll Pub. And I'm sure that place floods like crazy. That's about right. But as you can see here, we've split that arm off, and we still got plenty of meat here in the back to reform that arm, because we've got the general shape. We're gonna have to, where there's still a little bit of wood here that was connected to the body, we'll have to work some of that away, but we can use the templates to do that. Alright, should I end the video here, or should we keep working the face? Here, I'm going to go ahead and work this side of the face, that way y'all can see the profile a little better, and then I'll do this arm off camera, and this side of the face off camera, that way we have everything ready for our next one. I know I probably should be talking about how I'm going to film it on camera, but hey, whatever works. Once again, we're doing our little plunge cut, a little rocking motion. Almost forgot there to make sure I'm paying attention to the camera angles. Haven't done a video in a couple months. Got the flu bad this year. I mean, it was just an epidemic everywhere, man. Started off kind of mild, just feeling kind of crummy for about 5 days. I mean, obviously was sick and whatnot, but didn't have the fever or anything, so I was like, cool. And just as it seemed like I was getting over it, I had to take my mother to the doctor, because she got it real bad. And then I think that's where I picked it up for the 2nd time, and it was just wicked bad. Worse than I've ever had a flu. I mean, full on fever. The headaches, man, were just terrible. Couldn't even open my eyes. Just every little bit of light just made my head hurt worse. So, hopefully not too many of you guys watching that got the flu this year. But it was rough. But if you notice, you go out in public places, I mean, I've been more perceptive to it lately because I had the flu so bad. But people anymore don't cover their mouths when they cough or sneeze or nothing. Or I saw one guy sneeze directly into his hand, and he's going around shopping touching stuff. I always use those little wipes on the cart. I know most people think that's just ridiculous, but hey man, you have no idea who's been touching it, what they had on their hands before they touched it. And then you're just contaminating yourself by not trying to sanitize it, at least some. But yeah, everybody out there, just be more hygienic out in public places. Don't cough right in the air without covering your face. Don't cough or sneeze in your hand and touch shit. Alright, but hopefully you can tell we got a nice little gap here. Or not gap, it's pronounced much better. And we're going to have to taper it later. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to taper the nose. We're going to have to do the nose, that way then we can taper the face. So we have to take some of the front of the face here off so we can move it back. Alright, we got a good amount of work to do here on the face more. I think once we get the face done, he should actually come together pretty quick. And then if you notice, he doesn't have a cape. What we're going to do from an element of realism, because not all carvings can I do that with. I can't add real hair or fabric or stuff. Just not all of them work that way. But on him, I thought it'd be neat. We'll go ahead and carve him out. And then for our element of realism, we're going to just take some red fabric and put his little cape on there. It'll be a real cape though. Alright guys, well, what I'm going to do is remove this arm, get that side down to where we need it so we can have a better idea of where we need to go from there, and we'll be back after that.